We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for marriages. And today we're in for an exciting session for sure. Let's start off with Rosanna. What topic were you thinking of today?
As a wife, how do you get to the point where you understand your husband and what he's going through on a daily basis?
Nice. Melissa, how about you?
How do you know when you're pushing your husband too much or not enough?
Okay. And then Elaine, how about you?
Seems like you have the capabilities to feel a woman's heart. Would you care to go deeper?
Okay. So let's slide back to Melissa's as part of Elaine's. And so in my marriage, I seek to approach my marriage very similar as what I do my business and clients. So I look at my wife as a client, the best and most important client in my life. With clients, I have a rule that I'm never asked to be told twice to do something from a client ever. Like if it is, I am pathetic. And my goal is to go ahead and understand clients better than they understand themselves and to get out in front of their desires, their ask for, and to know what they want before they want it. And I expect that from my wife as well, for me with my wife. If she has to ask me once, I get frustrated. With me, I get frustrated. And so, for husbands out there, if you don't have that philosophy, your wife doesn't want another child, especially if you have children. I'm just saying. She doesn't want or need another child. What she needs is a man. And men anticipate what's going to happen before it happens. They anticipate what they see into the future. They see the future of their marriage. They see the future of their kids. They see the future of business and economic. Men have to do that. And so if a man doesn't do that, then his wife is responsible for that. And she's got a whole bunch of things that she's dealing with, every single day. And so when you look at the time frame, a woman, 75% of women will go ahead and I'm going to find it here. They're going to be amiable or expressive. They're focused in very much in the minute. This frustrates husbands to no end. But the advantage of this is that they're just wired to better care for children than men are on a day-to-day basis. This does not mean that a woman knows more about children than a man does, because that's not the case. They know different things, and so it's very important for a wife to listen to her husband about children. So I think often women get this philosophy, well, I'm a mother. I went ahead and birthed them. I know more about my children than you do. This is not a wise thing, wives, mothers, to have. You do not want your husband thinking that you know more about the children than he does. Because what this does is it promotes husbands not being involved with the children. So you want to be very, very, very careful as a wife to not give your husband the impression that you have it better handled than he does. There are some things with children that you are better equipped to go ahead and do than he is. There are some things that he is better equipped to do than you are. It is this working together. But my wife does not want a boy. She wants a man. She doesn't want to have to bug me, irritate me, push me. It's not in her heart. Her heart is to serve me. Her heart is to love me. Her heart is to give to me. Her heart, a woman's heart is absolutely magical. So, but a man has to understand this. He has to understand a woman's heart. It's very different than a man's heart. Yes, we as men often don't like a woman's heart that irritate the living daylights out of us. And there are some things that are vulnerabilities of woman's heart. But there's some beautiful things that we don't have as men. And so, Melissa, if you're having to push your husband to do things, either he's not manning up or you're being overly, if you treat a husband like a boy, he will act like a boy. Now, there's women out there that are crying right now and saying, but I'm not trying to treat my husband like a boy. I'm trying to treat him like a man, Mark, and he won't act like a man. I get you. I do. I see these men up close and personal on a regular basis, and my heart breaks for them most of all, because they're going to grow old and they're going to be sad men. They're not going to have the respect of their children, and they're going to get mad at everybody else because they didn't man up. And so Melissa, on something like that, I think a lot of times it's surrounding, getting feedback from other women. When you tell your story to women, women will naturally resonate and they will take your side. Having women who don't take your side and tell you to suck it up, buttercup, figure it out. Having women who will have enough insight and courage to go ahead and push you. But there are limits. It's got to be done properly. You have to feel that you can communicate it. He needs to listen, but he needs to have integrity. He needs to go ahead. When he says he's going to do something, he's got to do it. There's no excuses. There's no reasons. There's no rationale. If he fails, he needs to acknowledge it. He needs to say, hey, I am sorry. Another secret to a woman's heart. Own it. Don't make excuses. Don't explain yourself. Don't defend yourself. Don't be delusional. The 9Ds, just don't do it. Does that make sense, Melissa? Does that help some?
Yeah, I think so.
And you have strong men in your husband's life, not men that are wusses, not men that they make excuses. So they make excuses for your husband too. Like, he needs to go ahead and he needs to have strong men that'll call him out on stuff. And there's, unfortunately, it seems to me, being 60 years old, it seems to me like there's less of those men every day. Not only younger men, but older men too. Older men that won't call out younger men and say, hey, buddy, you're not stepping up and helping your wife. You're not being attentive to her needs. You're not being attentive to your kids' needs. You're not being proactive. You're allowing your wife to do things that you should be doing. There's just not a lot of that. So encourage that and support that, having men like that in his life. Rosanna, as it relates to yours, if you could say it one more time.
How do you understand your husband and what he's going through on a daily basis?
So in our marriage, and Rosanna and I married 39 years, I'm a driver analytic. And she is an amiable, double amiable, some analytic, some expressive, but mostly just double analytic or double amiable. I think a lot of times maybe men like me, maybe the mistake I make, the mistake we make is we make what we do look easy. So there's not a lot of beating of the chest. There's not a lot of, I'm an amazing husband, I'm an amazing father. There's just not a lot of talk. There's a lot to do, So I realized a long, long time ago, I realized at the age of 19 or 18 or 17, Mark, your mom and dad aren't going to bail you out. There's nobody, the government's not going to. You got to own the stuff. You got to be a man. You got to step up. You got to do stuff. In the end, it's your responsibility. So I think a lot of times, Rosanna, men won't share the feelings, I think in part because they want to protect their wife and their kids. I think in part because they're like, it doesn't do any good. I think there's a natural response maybe to a wife, to a husband, where when he says something, she doesn't want him to feel pain. For example, so we went on vacation and we were in the, pool, and Melissa, our daughter, shared how she had been hurt by Roseanne and I. And my heart is broken. Like, I am absolutely devastated as a dad. And when I get devastated like this, women will tend to go ahead. My wife, my daughters, other women will say, Mark, you're a great dad. You're this and this and this and this. And that's not what I need. I don't need encouragement. I don't need people telling me you're an amazing husband, you're amazing dad. I don't need that. What I need is I need to feel the pain that my daughter felt. And so that connects back in to what Elaine was saying about knowing a woman's heart. Like, and so how do you capture her heart? As I feel her pain. So I can't even tell you how many times I have felt alone, all alone in a desert. I mean, I feel that I'm out in a battle zone and there's barbarians and they're seeking to destroy me and my wife and my kids and my home, everything. And then I've got supposed friends that are good Christian friends and they're shooting me in the back too. And it's like, are you kidding? So I can't feel what my daughter felt because I'm not a woman, but I can feel how I felt. And then I just multiply and I say, I just think it's got to be harder as a woman than a man. And my heart is broken. Like, it's just devastating. It's in a billion different pieces. Because I look and I say, Mark, how could you make that mistake? How could you miss that? Like, that's just, you're an idiot. You're just an absolute idiot. So for me, I need to feel the pain that I had on my daughter. I have to do that because I don't want to ever make that mistake with her or any other woman in my life again. It was related to a miscarriage. And I look at it, and when she told me, I'm just like, God, why? How could you be so stupid, Mark? And so I think, Rosanna, like I have this appreciation for women for many reasons, my mom and many reasons, and a reverence for them. I think maybe often women don't have a reverence for men. They don't try to put themselves in a situation where you're out in the marketplace getting the crap beat out of you every day. Like, you work so hard and it often just doesn't. And so in society, we say, we beat up men a lot, and I'm okay with that. I think men need to get beat up. They should be. But I think as a wife, it's like to just feel the pain that he goes through. And so the pain of, for me, I'm the disciplinarian. I'm the one that the kids don't like. I'm the one that always has to be the bad guy. I'm the one that has to do that. But let's say I wasn't the disciplinarian. Let's say that my wife was the disciplinarian and I'm the one that doesn't do it. A wife can get angry about that. I'm not saying she shouldn't. But if he's more of an amiable, analytic personality, well, he's going to feel emasculated. He's going to feel like he's a worthless husband. I never had that feeling in discipline because I was always the disciplinarian. But it's hard being the disciplinarian, but it's hard not being the disciplinarian because you're like, I can't control my kids. I'm not being a man. I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to control my kids. I don't know how to, there's just a lot of confusion. I think being a man today is so hard. Like so much harder than it was, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I mean, 50 years ago, 80 years ago, it's like you support the family financially. You don't have to have a relationship. You don't have to have all this warm hug. Now you got to do all of that stuff. Plus you have to have all this. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think men need to do that, but it's just hard. Questions, Roseanne? I don't know if that helps.
No, it's good. It's good to figure things out with you.
Elaine, I think there could be so much. I mean, I have been blessed with a wife and 4 daughters. They're now adult daughters. The 3 of them are mothers now. And so the things I've learned from the 5 primary women, I've got a mom and 2 sisters, but mostly from my wife and 4 daughters. I've just learned things that I think it's crazy to have a connection with a woman. It's awesome. Like, I don't think most men or all men, I think, may want the relationship I have with my wife. The intimacy, the intensity, just everything. They want that really bad. They maybe don't know how to get it. They may not be willing to do the work or make the sacrifice to do it, but they want it. But to have the relationship that I do with my 4 daughters and a lot of other women, honestly, is like, I feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world. Women will tend to like you if you tell them what they want to hear. Women will adore you. They will fall in love with you. If you tell them what they don't want to hear, but it's got to be perfect. Like, how do you capture the heart of a woman? It's you see her potential, how she was created in God's image. You see her not only who she was, but who she is and who she could be, which is probably the most important of all, is who could she be? And you tell her the things that she does not want to hear, and she's probably going to get ticked at you and upset with you. But there's a sense, it seems like, in a woman, Elaine, that she understands he's not stupid. I mean, some men are stupid. A lot of men are stupid, don't get me wrong. But it's like he's sharing something that men won't share. Maybe your dad never shared it. Maybe your brothers never shared it. Maybe your husband's never shared it. Maybe no other man's ever shared this in her life. So she hates it. But there's something that I think a woman, like, what does every woman want? She wants to be awakened. And to be awakened, I think that she's got to be challenged. I think she's got to go ahead and it's like, hey, You know, if it's your wife or your daughter, hey, sweetheart, honey, you know, you're off on this. Man, will she get mad at you. But a man who sees that and is attentive to that and works and willing to put the relationship at risk, where he cares more about that woman than he does about the relationship. There's, I think, a lot of women who never ever feel that, get that feeling in their life from a man, ever, or from a woman.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I've had it a couple times and it hurt really, really deeply, but it also made a really, really deep connection. And there's a lot of respect there for my husband for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's a terrifying thing for a husband or a father to do that to his wife or his daughters or any other woman. It's just like, I am going to die. I am going to pay a price. Holy cow. I hope we come out through this. So, does that help, Elaine? Any other questions?
Nope, it was good.
Cool. So if you're, you know, on the podcast, let's not just talk care, like, oh, I care for you. Let's do care. And how do you do care? You actually share this podcast with, you know, 2 other people. Share it with husbands, share it with wives. Like, Roseanne and I would have to say we're not experts. We're just like all of you, going through life and learning. When you look at the battle scars that we have, from 39 years of marriage and 7 kids and 8 grandkids and 2 more on the way, you know, if you're a young couple, listen to older couples. If you're an older couple, for crying out loud, when somebody says, what's the secret to a happy marriage? Don't be trite. And if you're a Christian, don't, oh, it's God. That doesn't do me a bit of good. Like, it just doesn't. I want tangible, concrete things. What does that mean? So share this with others for sure. Join the Life GPS through Life Masteries Institute. Join the Life GPS here, and once you join, you'll get introduced to somebody else in the group, and they can be like a buddy to you. So you'll get so much more out of this podcast through participation than sitting in the stands and watching it happen. Just saying, if you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.